Hello, welcome to my balcony. It's time for another life update vlog. I realized that in a few days it will be exactly 3 years since I moved to Japan. Instead of explaining what I've been up to over the past month or so, I am going to share my reflections on the 6 things that I've learned while I've been living in Japan for 3 years. Firstly, I'm Japanese, but I will never be Japanese. For those who don't know, I am half Japanese and half Finnish, but I grew up in Finland. I have also lived in the UK at some point briefly. My mom always spoke to me in Japanese. I have been in and out of Japan all throughout my life. I came here for the first time when I was 2 years old. I have very much been exposed to the culture all throughout my life. That said, I am and I will always be different from a normal Japanese person in terms of culture and mindset. I believe that also applies actually to me being Finnish as well. Growing up, I always felt that I was different to my Finnish friends. Also, in terms of looks, Japan as well as Finland are both very homogeneous countries. When I'm in Japan, people often speak to me in English, even if I have my tattoos covered up. And the same applies to Finland. When I am in Finland, in certain situations, people speak to me in English, even though I speak both languages pretty much natively. I feel like some half Japanese people go through a phase of self-identity crisis because it can feel difficult to belong anywhere fully. I am very grateful for the fact that I'm able to think more broadly, and I've always had this understanding that in different environments people have their own conditioning in terms of what is normal and what is not. It's not to say that one is better than the other, but being able to look at different environments and mindsets with an open mind will allow you to look at different options and choose for yourself in terms of what feels true to you. Good morning. I am in Shimokita. For the past week or so, I've basically been cooped up at home working on my tax return. Yesterday I finally finished it. This was the first time that I was doing my tax return myself. I use this tool called Free. I am so relieved that that's done now. Now I'm ready to start living my normal life again. Today I am in Shimokita because I wanted to leave my house. So I'm essentially just gonna work from a cafe. And that brings us to my second point. Don't try to fit in. I don't mean that you shouldn't care about the Japanese norms and cause havoc. Be respectful. But that said, just be who you are. You standing out is not a bad thing. The Japanese culture, of course, is very collectivist and therefore different to the Western individualism. I believe that there's things that both Japanese people can learn from Westerners and Westerners can learn from Japanese people. But in the end, you should always be yourself and be what feels good to you and true to you. For example, I don't try to hide my tattoos. I have very much in the past been exposed to how strongly the older generation of Japanese people can feel about tattoos. There are certain situations when I might cover up my tattoos out of respect, but don't worry too much about fitting the Japanese environment perfectly. If you look foreign, no one will anyway expect that of you. Welcome to my rooftop. We have some planes passing. Where were we? Third point, I believe. Finding meaningful relationships can be quite challenging in Tokyo. That said, I don't believe that only applies to Tokyo. I would say that being in your 30s, moving to a large city where you didn't grow up and therefore are not surrounded by people you've known since school years or university years, it's difficult to connect with people on a deeper level, especially being surrounded by people who are not from the same culture. Therefore, it might be difficult to understand other people culturally and to have other people understand yourself. Tokyo, being a massive city, Obviously there's plenty of people, but at the same time there's something about massive cities where you're surrounded by so many people, but at the same time it can feel very lonely. It's difficult to determine which relationships are really worth putting effort into. I would say that there are two things that will help you to find your people. One, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and let people know that you are willing to connect. Secondly, you need to learn to be a good friend to others before expecting them to be a good friend to yourself. Becoming close friends with someone, it takes time, it takes commitment, it takes work. You should be willing to do that yourself first to the other person before expecting them to do that to yourself. It's pretty much the same as romantic dating. You really need to find your own people who you connect with and be willing to put in the work. I am just leaving the Tokyo Hilton Hotel. I had a chat with an agent who books gigs at many hotels around Tokyo. It seems like I might be performing at these hotels in the future. I'll probably be playing with a backing track or a DJ. Very excited. Oh, I would love to play at hotels. I would love to wear all the fancy stuff. Next point. Dating in Tokyo can be very interesting but also challenging. So I've been single for 2 years. At some point I would go on quite a few Bumble dates. I feel like I have to preface this by saying that I have always been of the opinion that it is very extremely unlikely that I would match with a Japanese person who has not lived abroad. That is not because I would have something against Japanese people or Japanese ethnicity or culture, but that is because I know who I am and my cultural mindset. I'd be totally willing to date a Japanese person who has lived abroad, but basically for the most part I've been dating the pool of foreigners living in Japan. There's people from all around the world. I feel like it's very interesting that you get to talk to so many people from different places and try to understand what their cultural context is, how they see the world, because obviously they grew up in a completely different environment to myself. I learned quite a bit about myself by reflecting my own thoughts against theirs. But when it comes to actually matching with someone, it can be difficult, especially since it feels like the foreign dating pool can be surprisingly small. When I speak to my foreign female friends, I feel like so many people feel like their dating pool is extremely small because most Western guys in Japan would like to date a Japanese girl, and then there's the question of, does a Western girl want to date a Japanese guy given the cultural differences, which I think many foreigners are quite ignorant about, in all honesty, but I have been very much exposed to all the challenges that you can face when two cultures clash. Perhaps that's the reason why I'm not excited about the idea of dating a Japanese person. I'm sure Tokyo is not the only place where it's challenging to find a partner nowadays. I feel like with online dating in general, dating has become much more challenging. I am on my way to Hilton Tokyo because I have a promo shoot there. The guy who asked me to come actually hasn't heard me play yet, so I guess it's all dependent on that, but it seems like he was confident enough that he just decided to invite me for a promo shoot. Wish me luck. I just finished playing. The guy was very happy, so it seems like I'll be playing in the future. Broadcasting from this random side room at Hilton with a bin bag by my side. Very classy. Welcome to Fuglen. I am enjoying a lovely chai latte. Fourth point of what I learned by living in Japan. This is a bit of a more personal one. Moving countries and changing your environment is an immense opportunity for growth. When I moved to Japan 3 years ago, I moved with my British ex. We have already lived together for 2 years in Finland. At the time, we very much believed that we were going to get married. I guess you wouldn't easily move countries with just anyone. After a year of living in Japan, we ended up breaking up. Roughly for a year or so after that, I went through such a hard time. I went through quite a serious level of depression. Now looking back, I am so grateful for all of that happening, because without all of that happening, I wouldn't be the same person that I am today. And I feel like I just grew as a person so much. I learned so much about myself, and I was able to reconnect with who I am really authentically on a whole new level. I am just super grateful and happy about everything that happened. Oh god, we're doing hanami at yoyogi today, and I have never seen the park be this busy. This is also my very first hanami picnic at yoyogi, so maybe it's always like this. Now, that's not to say that you should break up and go through a depression. I hope you don't. But at the same time, if you do go through challenges as a result, things might be better than before. My mindset is better than ever before. By being at such a low point, I ended up healing some of my childhood traumas as well, and just I had to deal with so many things. So much gratitude. Your journey might be very different to mine, but changing your environment will open your mind to so many more opportunities, a new way of thinking. Definitely would encourage it. Good evening. Had a lovely hanami picnic, although it was very busy. It got better the later it got. My friends are continuing the evening to Nichome, but I am meeting up with a friend who is visiting from Kyoto. We are having shabushabu in Akasaka. I moved outside. It started raining, so everyone disappeared, but I am underneath the roof, so actually I don't really mind. And by the fact that it started raining, I got this spot, so I'm actually feeling very lucky. Sixth point of what I learned / realized by living in Japan for 3 years. I love Japan. I keep telling everyone that I will not ever move back to Finland. I'm not saying that life here is perfect. Japan is very much behind on some things. Some things are amazing, but overall I am just so happy that I moved to Japan. The quality of food in Japan in general is just amazing. It's very safe. Everything works really well here for the most part, apart from when you need to go to a shiyakusho, so like the city office. Traveling within Japan is just amazing. Living in Tokyo, you can drive 4 hours north and be at the Japan Alps in Nagano, the best powder snow in the entire world basically. And then you can drive 4 hours towards Izu, really amazing beaches, enjoying surfing, or you could go somewhere else, be hiking with amazing views. In terms of travel opportunities within Japan, there's just so much that Japan has to offer. I am open to the idea of moving somewhere else at some point, but I would definitely need to have a good reason. Then again, I've only been here for 3 years, so perhaps I'll change my mind in a few years. I think that's enough of me yapping. Thanks for staying until the end of the video. Talk to you soon.